Welcome to EnterVR, the podcast where we talk about everything virtual reality. I'm your host, Chris Miranda, and on today's extra special occasion, I am talking to Karl Krantz, the founder of Silicon Valley Virtual Reality Meetup, the creator or co-creator of Escape VR, and a whole host of other apps. A true scholar and gentleman of virtual reality. Thanks for coming on the podcast, Karl, on such a short notice.
Thanks for having me, Chris.
Awesome. So today has been a bizarre world sort of.
Did something happen today?
Yeah,
I haven't been reading the internet. Is it some news?
Yeah, we've crossed into the Twilight Zone. That's what happened.
I thought that was it.
Yeah. So, what are your takes on this Facebook acquiring Oculus thingamajig? What are your views? What are your thoughts?
Well, I'm still in shock about it. I don't think anyone saw this coming. Completely unexpected. Completely out of left field. Yeah, so my thoughts are still kind of coming together on this, but it is really, really interesting, and it really changes everything. So it is. I think it is good for VR. Long term for VR, I think it actually accelerates the adoption of VR dramatically.
Yeah.
It's good for VR. It is a little bit uncertain for Oculus. What will happen to Oculus and the culture? They have a very unique culture. Mm-hmm. And, I think we all hope that is preserved as they get absorbed into a larger company, and that can be pretty scary. Sometimes a large company absorbs a hot new startup and then just it kind of disappears and you never hear about it again. Mm-hmm. So I know everyone hopes that doesn't happen with the Oculus.
Yeah. I've been, the Reddit has just exploded today.
Reddit is pretty funny right now.
Yeah, it's in one of the cool ways I figured one of the ways I figured it exploded was on average our Oculus subreddit has around 200, 400 users at that thread at any given time. Right now there's around 11,000 people. Monitoring our Oculus. That's how insane it's been. I just got off a podcast with Wormslayer, one of the moderators, and he's just been in crunch mode.
I'm sure he's busy.
Yeah. What are your reactions to our Oculus and the internet's reaction? I mean, it's twofold, right? You got people who are vehemently opposed to what's happening here, and there's others who are cautiously optimistic. I mean, what are your takes on those two sides?
Yeah, well, I'm not surprised at all that it seems the bulk, or at least the noisiest elements of the subreddit right now are vehemently opposed to this. I mean, Facebook. I mean, let's be honest. Facebook does not have a great track record when it comes to privacy, when it comes to freedom of expression, freedom of press. These things are concerns, and there's always people always go back to those infamous instant messages of Mark Zuckerberg from when he was just a teenager, mm-hmm. about kind of making fun of his users for trusting him.
Yeah.
And if you kind of extrapolate that forward 10 years and the world is VR and your whole reality is controlled by someone that you're not quite sure that you trust, then yeah, I can understand why people are a little bit scared and concerned.
Yeah, I just saw an article on The Verge. One of Facebook's security officers is working for the NSA. So
right.
Yeah, so a couple red flags right there. It's just so weird to me why Facebook, of all the companies out there, why them?
It's actually, to me, it makes so much sense to me, because I've always believed that the big opportunity of VR is this metaverse social world, this kind of Second Life, but in VR. And Facebook kind of has that whole social element of that. Mm-hmm. I'm really surprised, I guess pleasantly surprised, that they have the vision to really invest in something as radical as VR right now. I mean, I think of them as being like focused on mobile and, you know, much less interesting stuff.
Yeah, no, they were saying, or Zuckerberg was saying on his post, how mobile is today, virtual reality is tomorrow's technology. So they're, you know, and
yeah, I don't think he's wrong.
No,
that sounds right to me.
I agree. No, he's definitely not wrong on that. And Palmer has been sort of on damage control right now. I've been reading all his posts on Reddit, just trying to calm down the community, trying to reassure them that, hey, it's gonna be okay. Trust me, we're doing this investment for the long run. But I think he dropped the ball on that first post he put out. You know, because it sounded so much like it was like a PR show. And it's just, man, it's gonna be hard for Oculus to. I mean, once the waters calm down, when they calm down, I wonder how much they will lose. I mean, will there be a big exodus of developers because of this?
Yeah, I mean, I certainly hope not. VR to me, and you know, I think for all of us, VR is bigger. VR is bigger than Oculus, and it's even bigger than Facebook.
Yeah,
I mean, it's, you know, this is world-changing stuff.
Yeah. So,
you know, even if the worst were to happen, they got absorbed in, and for whatever reason the project fizzled.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Oculus has already led the way and started the revolution, and I think it's taken it, you know, far enough that it, you know, the genie cannot go back in the bottle at this point.
Yeah.
And I hope Oculus continues to lead because, I mean, you know, I still believe in those guys. They're some of the smartest guys and the most, you know, genuinely interested in building something for the sake of building it.
Yeah.
So, you know, I still believe in those guys. They're, you know, I think that that Oculus is going to be the most exciting thing going on at Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, they're going to have a big influence on the culture of Facebook, hopefully for the better.
Hopefully, I agree. And no, it's definitely something that, I mean, you know, because these two opposing camps, I just feel like it's way too early to call, you know, the worst case scenario already. It's way too.
Yeah.
I think it's way too early to call what the Facebook impact will be on Oculus's culture and mentality and, you know, vision going forward. I
mean, there are certainly things to fear. I mean, we fear if they're worried about building a platform, are they going to prevent the Oculus Rift from being used outside of that platform? I mean, I think that would be really bad, and I hope they don't do that. And I think they think that would be really bad. I mean, I would hope anyway.
Yeah. You know, and the other thing was something very interesting was John Carmack now working for Facebook.
That is a mind bender right there.
Yeah, I wonder how he feels about this. I mean, him being such yeah.
I mean, I get the impression that a lot of the employees actually just found out today. I mean, I'm just reading the tweets. It sounded like from some of the tweets that they were in just as much in shock as we were.
Yeah, people were messaging me today and sending me text messages and emails and you know, I was on my way out to go to the gym for a sec, and someone was like, "Did you get the news?" And I was like, "What news?" And he's like, "Don't worry, you'll find out soon." So I just sign on to, like, you know, Facebook or I go on Reddit for a sec. And what I hear, Facebook acquires Oculus. That, I mean, I was just like, I couldn't muster up words or emotions to figure out what it is that I was feeling or thinking. It took me a good couple hours and I'm still trying to figure out how to feel about this. Really, like.
Yeah, I went through the same thing a bit, and and Bruce and I like called each other, but we didn't really say anything. We were just kind of there for like support, I guess, trying to sit there and figure it out, but we didn't really have the words to express. It's just, it was just so unexpected.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, I'm just really just trying to make the best out of this and trying to I want to believe Palmer. I want to believe Oculus. As much of a bad of a reputation Facebook has, I'm gonna give Oculus the benefit of the doubt for now.
I think we all have to. I mean, we can't just say, okay, now they're evil and they're jerks. They were the nicest guys, and we loved them last week, and now they're super jerks because they work for a different company. I mean, I don't think that's fair, and I think we need to let them demonstrate what their vision is here with doing this.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually think it's smart if you think about it. I said it's completely unexpected, but actually in retrospect, it's like, well, it should have been kind of obvious. If you think about it, they've always talked about building this platform, and it's beyond just a piece of hardware. They're not out to sell a peripheral.
Mm-hmm.
They're out to change the world.
Yeah,
and that requires a platform, something that doesn't exist now. And if you're thinking about this if you want to build a global scale 3D metaverse, like that takes some serious know-how on the back end in the cloud,
mm-hmm.
Servers and scaling in ways that almost nobody understands.
Mm-hmm.
And there are very few companies that can really figure out that kind of large scale infrastructure. And so they're obviously going to be looking for a partner that has some experience with that.
Yeah.
And although maybe nobody has experience with doing that in the sense of a 3D virtual world, with the exception of, some of the larger MMOs and Linden Lab with Second Life and Philip Rosedale.
Mm-hmm.
But, Facebook and Amazon and those guys actually, they know how to do large scale, scalable, global networks and servers, and
mm-hmm.
it makes a lot of sense. It's also, it's like they've solved the immediate problem to a good enough extent of making the HMD. Like that was the big problem, was making a cheap, affordable HMD that worked.
Yeah.
And that, gave you that sense of presence. And they've pretty much solved that to an acceptable degree. I mean, it's definitely going to get better and better, but they with the Dev Kit 2, I mean, they've really nailed that, and now the hard problem is on the back end.
Yeah. For you personally, as a consumer, where do you think you would draw the line in terms of potential privacy infringements once this product ships? Would you draw the line at having forced Facebook-like sorts of interfaces? Would you draw the line at microtransactions, ads? I mean, is that something that you would recoil at right now once this, because now it's the metaverse. Now a week ago or 5 hours ago, I would tell anyone about the VR economy and the industry and the whole metaverse, and people would brush me off. But now it's not impossible. It's more possible than ever now.
Yeah, people are going to start taking this a lot more seriously.
Yeah. And so where do you personally draw the line? Are you at all concerned by, again, the integration, the possibility that there might be integration of this, of these, less than favorable Facebook sort of applications? Or?
I mean, I'm definitely concerned about it, but I think for a long time we're going to have Palmer and the rest of the team over there, watching out for that. I mean, obviously, it's a concern of those guys too, I'm sure. I'm sure it was their biggest concern in doing this deal. So I'm sure they're, going to be cautious about introducing anything that would be, distasteful to the end user.
Yeah.
But that said, the current user of the Oculus Rift is an early adopter and a developer.
Yeah.
And they have different needs and wants than, the mass market. So you sometimes in a company, you kind of have to step on the toes of the early adopter when you attempt to cross the chasm and, attack the mass market.
by Reddit's reaction, by our Oculus reactions, it sounds like they stepped on more than just their toes.
They've definitely stepped on some toes with this.
Yeah. How does Oculus reconcile this? The Kickstarters, the people who backed them on their Kickstarter, and they thought that the Oculus was heading in a particular direction, and now, one of the arguments I was hearing a lot about was, and I'm trying to approach this as objectively as I can, but one of the arguments I was hearing was, as a Kickstarter backer, how do I gain? What do I gain from this? From this acquisition?
Yeah, that's a tough one. As it may. I mean, there's definitely anyone who aligns themselves with Facebook. There's definitely going to be a certain element that just cannot stomach that. Like they don't Facebook. They don't do that.
Mm-hmm.
And a certain element will just. That's it. I saw people that said they were canceling their Rift orders, and who knows how many that is. I don't think that many people are actually going to cancel them.
Yeah. But
a certain element will, that's just too much for them. They just know Facebook.
Yeah.
I'm more pragmatic. I want really good VR.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm okay with Facebook having, even leading the way in VR, as long as there are open alternatives that completely respect, the freedom of choice as far as what kind of content, and there are ad-free alternatives. They can use Facebook's deep pockets and resources to kind of R&D a lot of this stuff, and that helps everyone, I think.
It certainly seems like it would. I agree with that for sure. I think that those deep pockets can go a long way. I just wonder how much. I wonder if there would be a way to measure how much harm they've done to their reputation, and how long will it take before they gain back. I mean, is it really just a vocal minority here that is, attacking Oculus, or do you think that, this will pass?
I think it will pass, but I don't think it's the minority that's upset. Actually, I suspect that it's the majority that don't feel great about this.
Yeah. Yeah, by the Reddit post, it just feels like this. It's crazy. I've never seen something quite like this, and I would have never predicted this. This is Bizarro World. This is Twilight Zone sort of stuff.
It really is. But if you look at it in retrospect, it makes a lot of sense if you because I wouldn't have been surprised, I guess, if Apple acquired them.
Yeah.
That would not have completely shocked me. But of course, Apple and Amazon and Microsoft and Facebook, they're all kind of converging into these very similar companies that offer this whole ecosystem. Each one of them has their own ecosystem. So it makes sense that all of these companies will be looking at virtual reality. I guess Facebook just got the jump on them.
Yeah, speaking of other companies, I wonder how Valve must feel right now. About this development.
That is interesting, because that's the acquisition that I think everyone just thought made sense.
Yeah.
And it's surprising that is not the way they went.
Because another argument that was pretty predominant on the forums was Valve and Gabe Newell trusted, Oculus with all this free research and R&D, and And then they take this information and technology, and they get acquired by Facebook. I wonder if Valve and how they feel about this. I wonder how Gabe Newell must feel about this.
Yeah, I'm really curious to see how that plays out over the next few days and months, weeks.
Yeah, because everybody on Reddit is like, "Save us, Gaben, you're our only hope."
Yeah. Yeah, I saw that. There's a lot of really funny stuff on Reddit right now, though. Despite whether I agree with the messages or not on them, there's some.
Yeah,
it's funny how something like this really brings out the humor.
it's having me. I'm like addicted to that page right now, just from looking at all the funny memes, and it's and the reaction. It's just what an amazing social experiment to look at.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, it does change the landscape and the timelines for VR. I mean, obviously everyone is on Facebook, whether they like to or not.
Yeah. I'm a hypocrite because I'm on it all the time as well. And
I actually have been trying not to use Facebook. It's not that I haven't used it, but I don't use it unless I have no other easy alternative for the past year or so. So I don't know. Now do I have to use it to? I hope we don't get to a point soon where I have to use it in order to use the Rift to do something.
Yeah, would that be something you would see as a negative, that you would have to use your Facebook login to go inside the Rift?
Yeah, I mean, I would prefer not to. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. I mean, whenever I've been slowly drifting towards the direction of using Google whenever I can for logging in. If I have a choice between Google and Facebook or Twitter, just because I feel better about them, because I feel better about their. It's not even so much that I don't trust Facebook with my data, because they're pretty clear about what they do with your data and that they're mining it for commercial reasons. Mm-hmm. And they're pretty upfront with that, and we all know that, and I'm okay with that. It's that the distrust comes from the fact that they change the terms and the agreements and what they're doing with the data so often that I feel like I can't keep up.
Yeah, Facebook. I mean, what do you have to, what do you think on that, on the idea that Facebook is a dying brand, and $1.6 billion worth of Facebook share, which is what Oculus got, is, and I paraphrase sort of what the Oculus Reddit forums have been saying, is worth a damn.
Yeah, it's interesting, and that's a concern I've read a lot too. Is that Facebook's numbers are dwindling, but I think these things are cyclical, and Facebook was doing one thing, and that kind of peaked out, and now they really have to innovate, and so as far as that goes, I mean, if they don't want to be a dying brand, then they have to take risks on disruptive technologies, and this is the perfect one.
Exactly.
Yeah. I think that this could turn things around for Facebook, definitely, and give them a real leg up in the future.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of what Sony's doing. I think Sony has been struggling a bit with their music service, their TVs. A lot of their sectors have been sort of struggling and stagnant. And I think they saw the writing on the wall with virtual reality, and now they're releasing Project Morpheus. I wonder now if this is going to become a two-sided Cold War. One gaming platform is designed for console gamers and gamers as a whole, and the other one is, being Oculus, will be designed for more casual experiences. I wonder if that's going to play itself out that way.
It could. I think it's more likely that it's going to be like a 4. I think any kind of stable ecosystem like this will have like 4 or 5 players in it, actually. Mm-hmm. So I think we'll see. I actually hold out a lot of hope for Nintendo VR. I think that would be really cool.
Yep.
Just if they carried over the Nintendo aesthetic to some sort of VR, that would be fun.
Yeah. Bring back the Power Glove and the Virtual Boy.
Exactly. But I had always seen Oculus as being the open player in this market, and I hope that continues. Yeah. And it was interesting that Palmer pointed out a lot of the ways that Facebook is open, and some of that I did not know about. Mm-hmm. They're involved in, especially on as far as building server infrastructure. A lot of the stuff they're doing is open source, and they are releasing their advancements back out into the community, and that's great.
Yeah.
But I don't think my concerns about Facebook are really about the open source server architectures, but more on freedom of expression, I think, and freedom to not just be bombarded with irrelevant, awful ads.
Yes, yeah, that is definitely my biggest concern, by far. I guess the ads, I guess I can ignore them. I guess if I have to deal with them, I mean, I guess, but the freedom of expression and censorship, that is a no-no for me. I hope again that Oculus has, again, I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt. I hope they have their head in the right place, and I hope they don't get swayed by the NSA and Facebook in terms of censorship.
Yeah, I think we all hope that.
Because
we'll just have to, give them the benefit of the doubt. I mean, I think that's the best we can do. I don't think it's fair to, attack them when they haven't done anything wrong yet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because as people who are involved in the industry, I mean, what else is there for us to do? I mean, what are we gonna do? Ignore this, or I mean, hate on it? It's hard. It's hard. You can't. You have to try to see this objectively as much as you can. And again, it's a development that is just so early to tell what the future will hold. So
yeah.
I cross my fingers.
Yeah, it is. It's a mind bender, that's for sure.
Yeah, of all the companies in the world.
Yeah, never would have seen that coming.
I
wouldn't have been surprised if it was Apple. So it should have made sense because I could actually see that with Apple.
Yeah, I actually
we would have the same concerns as far as privacy and freedom of expression. Maybe more on the freedom of expression side because Apple is kind of known more for their arbitrary rules about what can go in the App Store and what can't, and not being open about that.
Speaking of open, and this is another place of speculation. I wonder if pornography and adult content will make its way into the Oculus Rift now.
Yeah, I mean, and I guess that's the real test of this, is that fringe content, those edge cases.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it will. I don't think it would have made its way into the Oculus Share store either. So that's fine, but it's okay because there's, because you don't have to use the Oculus Share store.
Yeah.
And I just kind of hope that model continues where you can use this with whatever infrastructure they build with Facebook, but they don't block you from using it with alternatives.
Mm-hmm.
And it's another interesting thing that comes out of this is I've spoken before about how I'm a big believer in Philip Rosedale's project High Fidelity,
mm-hmm.
which is kind of like Second Life 2.0, and I think this kind of puts them in the spotlight as the more open alternative to the Facebook metaverse.
Yeah. See how we're walking into Ready Player One paradigm?
Yeah. Yeah, we really are.
Man, we had our 2014 New Year special, and I remember talking about like this feels like science fiction. Karl, I don't know what to believe anymore. Are we in reality? I'm trying to pinch myself. Like this is.
I know. I really had to double check that date a couple times.
Yeah.
The day I was like, April Fools? Too early for that. Yeah. But maybe. Is this like the long game April Fool's joke?
Yeah. It's crazy. It totally is. This is insane. As the creator of Silicon Valley Virtual Reality Meetup, and as an entrepreneur, and as an avid developer, how do you see this affecting you personally?
To be honest, I think it puts some pressure on us. I think it points out the need for some strong community, and for us to get to organize in some way, or at least be heard,
mm-hmm.
To have our concerns heard by Oculus and Facebook, and to discuss this as a group and to figure out, okay, what is the healthiest thing long term for virtual reality?
Yeah,
and I think that's a diverse ecosystem. I'm fine with Oculus leading the way even at Facebook, and in some ways that can actually help. But I also want there to be alternatives. I believe in the right to look at monkey porn or whatever sort of weird quirk, people have.
Yeah, no, it's true. I agree. I wonder how much, and you touch on a really good point, which is how does the community, where does community have a say in all of this? I mean, going forward, will the community, will Oculus be as responsive to the community as they have been in the past? I mean, that's going to be interesting to see for sure.
Yeah, it really is, and as organizer of SVVR, it's obviously it's a huge concern of mine. Is I hope this doesn't put up more layers between us and the people doing the good work at Oculus.
Mm-hmm.
But I hope they're good guys and they really believe in what they're doing, and I believe and hope that this this may actually give them a little more time and resources to pay attention to that.
Yeah.
So I saw a comment Palmer made on I don't know if it was on Reddit or Twitter, where he said they could do better with independent developers, and this is and this will hopefully help them with that. So
definitely, no,
I don't think that's a bad thing to hear from him.
Yeah, because if one thing is certain, I think that software will make or break virtual reality. If the software isn't there, then the people won't flock to it. It's quite that simple,
Yeah, exactly. This is like it's like layers. We needed the HMD to be affordable,
mm-hmm.
and to be able to provide that sense of presence, and we kind of hit that. So now the next layer is the software and the infrastructure.
And the input. I mean, I don't know how much.
And the input, yes.
I wonder how much money it'll take for them to create that seamless haptic glove that everyone dreams about. And I had a conversation that I shouldn't talk about, but yeah, I think that the haptic glove thing is something that is on their minds, some of their minds.
Yeah, I hope so. I've always been a believer in the glove, going back to the 80s. I think that's the best way, a haptic glove.
Indeed. So, man, what a day, Karl.
Yeah, really, kind of exhausting. Yeah, I had these plans. I canceled my plans. I was like, I have to process this.
Yes.
To be honest, there was a lot of like phone calls of like kind of therapy.
Yeah, this is I mean, how has the people around you reacted?
Just a lot of just shock and trying to find the bright side and trying to be optimistic about this, because I think we all want VR to succeed.
Mm-hmm.
However, whatever it has to do to succeed, I think we all want VR to succeed.
Mm-hmm.
But this was just not the expected path that I think most of us had in mind.
Indeed. I know, it's definitely the most unexpected of all.
Yeah.
Google would have been like, yeah, that makes sense. Apple, yeah.
Any of the others would have made more sense to me.
But I guess, I mean, you do bring up a good point. I mean, this Facebook being already a precursor to the metaverse, in a sort of like a primitive way, right?
And I've always heard people refer to Second Life as like a 3D Facebook, even though Second Life was around before Facebook. But
yeah, so here we come.
And so now we have VR Facebook, or we will.
Yeah.
And also, it was interesting. I listened to the conference call that was posted on Reddit.
Yeah.
And the actual conference call at Facebook where they discussed and announced the acquisition.
I saw. Yeah, I read it too.
Yeah. Yeah, that was pretty interesting to listen to. I was actually surprised at how scripted that was. It sounded like they were reading from a speech, and I guess that's the way that works, but I found that surprising.
Yeah, definitely. There's, to be frank, I'm still in shock. I'm still trying to process this. What a day.
I think anyone is. I think Oculus has a real opportunity here to make us all feel a little better about this somehow.
And that's thank you for bringing that up. What can they do? What can Palmer, Nate, Brendan do at this point to reassure the community that yes, we are headed in the right direction, and yes, Facebook is not going to influence our culture and our decision making and our vision as bad as you guys' fear. What can they do?
Yeah, I mean, I guess the best thing they can do is just get out there and talk to people and answer questions and ask questions and listen to the community. But I mean, VR is a mainstream media, down the road. So right now, we have to keep in mind that our little early adopter community, it still is pretty small. And, I would like to think that we are, a small community of, visionaries and people who are going to be tastemakers and change the world. Yeah. But, we're a very small community compared to, the mass market. So, what's in our best interest is not always going to be in the interest of, that mass market adoption.
Mass market.
But there will always be new things on the cutting edge, so there will always be, fun stuff to occupy us, I think.
Let's take a walk down the rabbit hole for a sec.
Sure.
Because
I love the rabbit hole.
Because Facebook is, talking about the VR being the future of tomorrow. What's after VR? Is there any way to predict or speculate what could be after VR at this point?
Yeah, I don't really. I think it's hard to see. It would be impossible to see that from the world we're in, where VR barely exists.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think VR is going to go in stages where first it's we're slapping displays in front of our eyes. And eventually we're tapping into our eyes, and the same with, input devices. First we're actually doing things in the physical world, and eventually we're tapping into our nervous system and just thinking about moving instead of moving. Mm-hmm.
Do you think that this is a positive thing for humanity, this development, this big company acquiring Oculus, or will this be... Or is this something bad? Or it's just...
I guess that's the question. That's the big unknown. I mean, it's definitely a positive thing for the adoption of VR. Mm-hmm. But does it take VR in a dangerous direction too early? I think that's the question. Mm-hmm. And I don't really know the answer. I hope not.
Yeah,
I hope it's a positive.
Yes, I'm with you
on that. But it's definitely going to... And another positive thing that can come from this is that now it's starting to get people thinking about, okay, this is a lot of power when you're, basically have control over someone's reality. Like, that's a tremendous amount of power. So it's going to start that conversation pretty early, like, today. Basically, that conversation has started about, okay, how do we address the fact that we're giving some companies now just, tremendous power over our brains? So maybe that will be a positive in the long run, too, that, it starts the conversation pretty early on.
Thankfully, on EnterVR, we've been having that conversation since July 2013. So if you want to catch up with all those conversations, shameless plug, you can go ahead over to EnterVR.net.
Awesome.
These conversations are going to be extremely important in our society now. I mean, people that would have never known about virtual reality are messaging me on Facebook. To tell me, did you hear that acquisition? Did you Oculus and Facebook? I mean, all the places of all the people, really. So it's gonna become. I mean, is there any doubt in your mind now that virtual reality will become mainstream?
No, but I haven't had that doubt for a while. Oh. It was really the first 30 seconds of trying the Dev Kit 1 that that doubt went away. I said, nope, okay, this is it. It's here.
Yeah, same here. And then John Carmack came along, and then the 75 mil from Mark Andreessen, and now this. Wow.
Yeah. One thing that does surprise me is actually the number. I'm surprised that it's not higher.
Yes.
I would have expected that they could have gotten more. I mean, in my mind, they're worth a lot more. I know I'm kind of a VR dreamer, but just based on the speculation around the valuation from the last round of funding, I'm a little surprised that they didn't ask for or get more. But there may be some reasons for that. They may have, worked out some, who knows?
Truly,
it's hard to look at valuations from the outside.
Yeah, it's all numbers inside their heads, and whoever's asked, they pull it out of. For me, in my mind, I think that for Snapchat almost got was getting offered $6 billion or something like that.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. It's hard for me to rectify that in my head, that something like Snapchat can somehow be more valuable than the leader in like the most promising technology of
that will change past, mankind
2,000 years or more.
Truly, I mean, the Gutenberg machine looks like a piece of rock compared to this, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, man. No,
so it's hard to get your head around that, but that's all based on cost per user, and something like Snapchat has who knows how many users, but a lot more than the Oculus, which has 60,000 or something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's definitely something that I'm still sort of intrigued by. That $2 billion, mind you, 1.6 is just Facebook stock, and the rest is 400 mil in cash. It just feels like.
Well, they certainly have the cash.
Yeah, that's for sure. This is gonna change the gaming industry forever now, I feel like.
Yeah, and more than just the gaming industry. But,
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it really is. It's funny because I just feel like I had this kind of timeline in my head of what the next 5 years of VR were going to look like, and I just felt like I had a pretty good handle on it, and all that just went out the window today. Predicting the future is hard. I've always wanted to be a futurist. I've always thought that was the ultimate job is to be a futurist. I'm going to get some business cards where I just write futurist on it, so I can say I'm a futurist. That's a hard job.
You're right, and I was, speaking to that today. I was about to release a YouTube video of my little video blog about how I was gonna share my sage-like insights into the future about virtual reality, and I was gonna say 5 reasons why it might fail, 5 reasons why it might succeed. But I have to reevaluate my reasons now because of this. Man, you're right, Carl. Predicting the future is, not
the future
possible.
Is weirder than you would ever imagine. That's what's come out of this for me.
Oh my God, it is, man. So, yeah, what message, if any, do you have for the community right now that is in shock and is looking for a voice of reason here?
I would just say, it doesn't change the guys that build Oculus. I mean, they've done so much in such a short time, and really they've changed the shape of the world already, just in what they've done. And it doesn't change who they are that they work for Facebook now, and they are such smart and such, visionary personalities that I think that they will have a bigger impact on Facebook than Facebook will have on them.
I hope you're right, Karl Krantz. Karl Krantz, the founder of the virtual reality Silicon Valley virtual reality. What did I just say? The virtual reality, the Silicon Valley virtual reality meetup.
SVVR.
There we go. The abbreviation. How can people follow you? How can people stay in touch? How can people talk to you? All that good stuff.
I'm Karl Krantz on Twitter. That's Karl with a K, Karl Krantz, and you can always find SVVR at svvr.com. And look for an exciting announcement from us within a matter of days, actually.
Oh, okay. So that's coming up. That's exciting.
We are coming up on we're coming up on a 1-year anniversary, and we have some exciting news for that.
Whoa! All right, Karl Krantz, once again, thank you so much for being a scholar and gentleman of virtual reality.
Thanks for doing this podcast, Chris. I love it.
Thank you. And bam.